Well, Mr. Brandon's with us, and I'm sure we'll get some other crew folks to go on. Hopefully, people come on, and it's going to be on the recording for anybody that couldn't make it tonight because maybe it's a little league something or whatever. It's the fall. Um, so anyway, tonight I just wanted us to discuss builder's warranty, and I know David is. Hopefully, he's going to come back on because he's one of them that's been doing it, some of it too. And Ray and Michael, I don't know if you guys are doing it now or not, builder's warranty. But I just wanted to talk about it. And I think one of the things, my personal opinion about it is as the real estate agents ease back for Sitzer Burnett or other issues, we have to be able to make up some leads from other places. And this is a strategy which I love that doesn't involve them. It's always been one that Beth and I did when we owned Southern Home years, for many years, 13 and a half years. What we did was we ran builders warranty programs every month, and a significant portion of our business came from this. So we just wanted to make sure that people continue to do it. And lots of our clients still do it today, day in and day out, some very successfully. So I wanted to just look at this. I'm always big about begin with the end in mind. So before you start, you need to see where you're going to go. You need to understand that. That's why I use a mind map a lot. And if you haven't used a mind map or you don't know what that is, just go to Google and or your favorite browser and type in mind map and you'll learn all about it. But really what a mind map does is lets you ask yourself the questions that you need to ask before you launch off on the project. So it's not about getting answers. It's about getting the questions out. And so a mind map is one of my favorite tools. I've always used it. I loved it when it became electronic or digital because I used to get these pads of paper with big eraser holes in it where I'd be wanting to change something and change this or change that, and it didn't work that well. So Brandon, are you still using a mind map or no? I know you've learned the skill for us, but I didn't know if you were still using that tool or not.
Yeah, we've used it in the past. I'll use it for like a bigger project. If I've got like a whole new program, like we did a little bit of it with the trusted vendor program.
Uh-huh.
I actually have been using a little bit more. Feel a little more comfortable using kind of a Scrum board on Trello.
Sure.
So I'll use that as kind of a modified version of it, but that's what I've been using.
Yeah, whatever tool works for you, but the real issue is understand the impediments that you're going to face before you launch up on a project. This way you don't get a failure. So with that said, really, I think what are the key components of a builder's warranty program? I think there's a bunch of key components to it. And Ray and Michael, are either one of you guys doing builder's warranty now, builder's warranty inspections now?
No, sir.
Okay, so Ray's not. Michael, how about yourself? Are you doing them now? Michael had some background noise, so he says he's going to jump back in a minute. Okay, well, Brandon and I'll spend some time talking about it, and I'll tell you, there's a couple of different things.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
So, yes, so that's how I actually started my inspection business. As I was getting my marketing to realtors and to home buyers going was the builder's warranty inspection. And then after I had been running that for several years, then it became an incredible referral source as those homeowners referred their friends as they were buying homes in the neighborhood, or as they eventually sold their home and moved to the next home, then they would they would call me back for another inspection. So that has always been a tremendous referral source for me.
That is awesome, Michael. That is awesome. We used it every month. We used it, builder's warranty program. So I'm glad you're doing it. That's great. You're still doing it? Is still an effective part of your business?
So I have lost touch with a reliable list. And so then the supplier on the list, one of them retired, and then another source, then their tool as far as the list goes. They couldn't isolate just new construction home buyers. It was just new mortgages, like through Experian or something like that.
Sure.
And it was just new mortgages, and it was all new mortgages. And so I was getting resale buyers in that list. And so then I don't have a reliable source for a new construction list right now.
Right. That's a very, very good point because that's true countrywide. For whatever reason, they've stopped reporting the data from new construction as opposed to residential resale. So we're going to be talking about that in a minute, but one of them, we call that traffic. In other words, how are you going to get traffic? Now, there are certainly ways to do it on the internet and other ways, but the list was very valuable. So let's talk about it. So Brandon, for you guys, and I know I don't know if David was able to get back on the call or not, but how are you guys, Brandon? First, let me ask, are you doing the program right now full time or no?
Yeah, we are. We've had that same challenge too. I mean,
Hmm.
as you know, you would probably know this, Ken, but we did this in Washington for many years, and we killed it with this.
Hmm.
But what our challenge has been more lately is getting that reliable list that give us all the names and addresses for these folks. So we do have access to the MLS. It's a little bit more limited because not every new home goes through the MLS. But yeah, we've had a ton of success with it. Just it has been a little bit more challenging the last, I don't know, probably year and a half or two.
Right. Well, so when we were able to get a list, it was pretty easy. The rest of the issues we could solve, but that was a pretty easy one to do when you had a list. So what
Yeah.
happens is John Hart, one of our clients who is doing the program, and he is crushing it with. I'm gonna let Beth talk a minute about what John is doing and how he's getting a reliable, steady of leads. But let me say this before you do it. Um, Anything that is generates the kind of results that we can generate is going to take a little work. Okay, so there's nothing that's no work. Okay, so you have to ask yourself the question, and Michael already said he crushed it with it, and it was a huge source of referrals for him when he was able to get a steady list. Well, you can still get a steady list, but you have to get it a different way. But it is going to take a little more work than what you got in the past. So, Beth, why don't you talk about John Hart and what I was hoping John would be on the call tonight, but he isn't. So, but he's really mastered getting this list.
Yeah, I notified him. I told him we
Okay.
were talking about it, but so John has been doing this for probably 4 years. And a couple of years ago, we did a builder's warranty program where we did everything for them for a fee each month. And we don't do that today per se. I help John on his now, but what he does is he goes up to his county tax office and he gets the list from them. He told me probably a week or so ago that he pays about $130 for his list, and he has a pretty extensive list, but he has to clean it up. So there's a lot of other stuff in there, but it does give him the new buyer's name and addresses. Now this is in Myrtle Beach, and David and I talked about it the other day. But what I do is I take his list from what he cleaned up, and then I upload it to send out cards. I get it all set up for him. He has a page for his builder warranties that he takes from the card that he sends to them. He has a custom URL. They're able to click on, or not click, but type that URL in, go straight to that page, and he probably does anywhere from $2,500 probably to sometimes he'll do $3,000 and $4,000 a month just in builder warranties. And we have a code in his ISN that is connected to the campaign, and he does very well with it. I mean, it fluctuates every month, of course, but I mean, his builder warranties keep him going.
So that's good. So it's the county tax assessor, that right, Beth? That's who he's
Yes,
getting it from.
David, sorry, David, what you and I talked about just the other day, what was it? I something?
Right. Well, I mean, I did some research after we talked,
Mm-hmm.
and Mecklenburg, I just went to Mecklenburg County because that's the largest county in my area. And they do have where you can actually pull the database for certificate of occupancy builds, but it's very complicated on how you actually get the information because it also gives you um, residential additions, any modifications and permits that were approved for that certificate of occupancy. And it also gives you like Taylor Morris just started a new neighborhood at, I don't know, $10 million. So you got to kind of it did allow me to download a spreadsheet with the addresses and all the information. However, there is a lot of cleanup on it. And you can verify that data by going to GIS portal, which pretty much every county has. You just type in GIS, whatever county.
Mm-hmm.
You can say Mecklenburg, Onslow, Cabarrus, or whatever county, and go to their site, and it'll tell you when the house was built, when the date of completion, the square footage, and all that kind of stuff. So the data's out there. It's just a matter of how to get it and how to get it efficiently. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, but I think he went directly to, he has a guy at the county courthouse or whatever, and he actually works with that guy. The guy pulls the information for him. So John's not actually going and finding it. He just tells the guy what he wants, and then the guy pulls it, gives it to him in a CSV file, and then John cleans it up from what he knows, and then he
Right.
gives it to me, and I clean it up even more, and then we sort it out by months, and we upload it to his send out cards, and we get it ready to go out.
So it
Yeah.
seems to me like we should be able to segregate the data by column the field is in.
Mhm.
Okay, so somehow that someone on, that's very smart with this can go in and take a spreadsheet, do a raw data dump, and then manipulate that data just to get
Sort
what
of.
David needs and the others need.
Yeah.
So David, were you able to get it? I mean, like it's public information. You were able to just go right to the website and pull that data?
Yeah, it's all public information.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's public information for sure.
Yeah.
Some of them charge for the list. Now, David, did you have to physically go anywhere, or were you just able to go on Mecklenburg County's website, get the information and download it?
I went directly to their website and found it. And really, all I did was just type in certificate of occupancy Mecklenburg County building permits, and it pulled me right to their website. I got lucky on that. I'll be honest with you. But my problem is I can't physically go into Mecklenburg County because I'm 4.5 hours away. I no longer pretty much inspect anymore. So I'm just trying to drive business to the inspectors.
Yeah. No question about that. Okay. All right. Well, now the GIS, tell me what that is. I mean, I'm unfamiliar with that acronym.
It's a software that the county tax assessor uses.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's mostly for tax records and property records, and you can go in there and pull deeds and all that kind of stuff. That's just where that county stores their information that's public.
Yeah,
Okay.
the problem with that, just the really quick, the problem with that is in that case, you're really only pulling one property at a time,
Right.
unless you've got a different way there, David.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
You're just using that as a verification source at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where we had the hang up is, we were pulling some stuff from the MLS, and we had some other data that we had gotten elsewhere, and we were trying to compare to see how accurate our lists were. And so we'd go into the GIS, and it was about 50% accurate, and at that point it's kind of tough to really justify trusting that list.
Correct. And that's the whole reason why I went to GIS to try to verify the information that I pulled so that I knew that I was actually pulling the information correctly, because there were like 1,500 records for the year because I pulled it from basically I was thinking I was going to start this program up again, and I pulled it from October 1st through to, basically it would only let me go to like the 16th of August. And I did this on the 1st. So it was like, I was just trying to verify the information that it pulled so that I could actually figure out whether or not I was at the right place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, David, if you talk to someone at Mecklenburg County, in other words, you bypass their website and you call and you work your way through and get to the right person, do you think even for a fee, they might pull you that data?
It could always, it's worth a try. I mean,
That's what John has done.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you want me to show you John's spreadsheet, what he
No,
got?
not really, not tonight.
Okay.
But the fact of the matter is that there has to be a way to get the data. I mean, it's public information. So whether you have to, pay for it is a whole different story. And I don't think anybody minds paying for it. We paid for it back in the day, the list. But but that is something that we should explore. And Beth, if you don't mind, just continue the conversation with David and John Hart. Let's try to narrow this down because that is one of the impediments to it. I know Michael would get back to it in a minute. If he could get a reliable source, and maybe it's just as easy as contacting someone in the office of the county, letting them know exactly what you needed and tell them that you'll be glad to pay for the list if someone would pull it for you.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that on my list to do next week too. Just to, I've called the county, but I'm usually getting a secretary, and she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. We don't do that. I'm gonna go in and actually just talk to someone face to face, see if I can figure out somebody who's got some information for me.
Okay.
I didn't realize what a gold mine Shep was until he was gone.
Shep
Right, I'm just-
Masrick, man, I've known that
Dude,
dude
man.
for 100 years.
I'd call Shep and I'd say, hey, I need a list. And he'd be like, I got it. And I would tell him, the counties. And he was like, sure thing. We'd be on the call we'd be on the call for 5 minutes, but it'd only take me about 30 seconds to tell him that I needed a list and what the date range was. And then we'd chat about him playing golf down in Coral Gables or wherever it was,
Yeah.
Cape Coral or wherever. And then I would get this list and it was beautiful. And then he was gone, and I was like, well, okay, I guess I'll just have to call somebody else. And oh my goodness, I did not realize what a gold mine he was.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was.
I bought lists from him from different businesses I've owned in the years gone past, and he got old. He actually a lady took over his business for him, and we were able to get it through her. And then finally, they quit providing that information to anyone, and we weren't able to get it anymore. I'm just, Michael, glad to know you could get off the call in 5 minutes, man. I was never that lucky. Took way more than 5 minutes. Shep and I go a long way back, though. We've been old friends for a long, long time. He actually came to one of our workshops up in Jasper. It was great to see him again. He has family that lives in Atlanta. So he lived in Atlanta for many, many years. So anyway, okay, well, we're gonna continue to delve into that and let's see how we can get it because it's too important to think. Let's think about this in a different way. And I didn't really mean to start with the challenges first, but this is the kind of the giant elephant in the room. How about brand new neighborhoods? So let's say in Venice, there are a lot of very, very large neighborhoods going in, and even around here, in where we are in Lady Lake. And so what happens is, can we get Brandon through the realtor information, MLS or others? I'm thinking out loud. Can we get people that bought homes in that area? I mean, could we pull new home buyers in those locations?
You should be able to.
You wouldn't
Ask that
catch-
question again. I'm trying to digest that.
So what I'm really wanting to see if they can happen is the MLS or other information sources can we get people who bought a home, whether it won't say new construction or residential resale, but bought a home in an area in which we know they're new homes. So Lennar is building a big giant
Yeah.
subdivision. Can we get people who bought homes in that Lennar subdivision?
You could probably do that. We had tried to go, I think there's a way to filter by year built potentially. So obviously you could filter by 2024 or whatever and pull the list that way. I think what we were running into is it wasn't a complete list since all the, not every transaction was going through the MLS. And then I wasn't able to get the homeowner name, I think is what we were also missing there. So I
Okay,
mean,
so
there's still some workarounds.
okay, and let's say that for a minute, because here's what happens. My old client and friend Bill Easter in Seattle, this is what he did. One of his agents granted him MLS access, and what we were trying to pull was a variety of information, top producers by zip code and the whole thing. So anyway, the agent that gave him access had no idea how to do it. So what she got on the phone with MLS, Bill did a nice favor for her, maybe got her a facial at one of the spas or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, a small gift. And what she did was she got on the MLS and she said, I have my unlicensed assistant with me. And here's the information I'm trying to get, but I have no idea how to get it. And the person at MLS was just super helpful and showed them exactly how to do it and, helped them with the documentation so they could do it again and again. So if you have an agent that is, or you have access to the MLS, you can call their support and tell them what you're trying to get at, and they'll help you pull those.
Okay.
Okay. But so here's the thing, and Michael nailed this, and it happened to us too, and everybo's been involved in the program. This is it. So this is what I was thinking about the big neighborhoods with Lennar and all that, these other major builders. It doesn't have to be Lennar, but the fact of the matter is, if we can get into that subdivision and we can start direct mailing those postcards into that subdivision and our message is compelling enough, then people are going to hold on to that card. Okay. Once we do an inspection in there, guess what? We get a bunch more inspections in there because the problems that we're going to find on that particular home, the same ones have the problems because it's the same subs.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys know from your own experience that once we got in there, we continue to get more and more business. And what happens is we can also say is, oh, by the way, for every name that you give me that does a builder's warranty inspection, I'll cut $50 off your inspection. Let's say, well, Ken, here's what happens. You've already come and gone. And I said, well, I'll give you a rebate of $50. So how about 5 names, of people that in the community that the fact of the matter is that will that are having the same problems you've talked to at the cookout or at the meeting or whatever. And people give you that stuff. They love you to come out. I mean, this is one of the things about builder's warranty. I mean, people loved you when you came out. Okay. So you were helping them solve their problem. So if we could get who bought, new construction in a big new construction area, are we gonna get everybody? We're not. But is it a nice revenue supplement then?
Yeah.
Okay. David, that makes sense?
It does. I mean, the key is actually getting into the neighborhood. Once you're in it, selling it is the easy part. I mean,
Yeah, once you're in, it's like you can't get away. And you know that
right?
little
Because
sign
I'll
that
give
you
you
put
this
up?
example. Well, just in the last year, this year alone, probably 50 inspections in one neighborhood.
Mhm.
So, but I mean, and that's because the neighbors were talking to each other how bad their homes were built. So,
And you know what happens is, I don't know about where you guys live, but here in Florida, we got all these people moving in and they can't build enough homes fast enough. So if the building inspector had the consumer's back in the past, that's over. Okay. And I am telling you, we had a friend, a lady cut my hair, Kathleen, and I'll tell you that she bought in a Lennar community that was, I mean, townhomes for $450,000, $500,000. And the thing had every problem in the world. Okay. And so did her neighbors because, like David said, they're talking to each other. Okay, so to get in there, once you get in the neighborhood, that's it. And using direct mail or whatever to get in there, even if we couldn't. Now, if you can't get somebody's first name, just say, dear new home buyer. You
And the other
know,
thing,
just I'm going to tell you, or dear neighbor. You know, I never let those kind of things hold me back. My list is my job is how can I get that list? Okay, it's not perfect, but let's work it because a few $1,000s a month as an additional source of revenue is still a few $1,000s a month. And I will tell you, not every home inspector is struggling. Ours seem to be struggling less, but there's a lot of home inspectors I talk to countrywide that are in a serious world of hurt. Okay, so a few inspections here and there each month would be beneficial to their bottom line. So I think if we could find that out. So Brandon, I'm gonna let you work with Beth and David. If you'll talk with Beth, you guys work back and forth with her. I think that would be the easiest way for you guys. Let's see if we can't come up with a solution on this. Put our heads together, and if we could get the data in the spreadsheet, I'll try to see if we can't get somebody to cut that data in the right way.
Yeah.
I don't even mind paying for it to find it, to get somebody to do it. If we can figure it out, once we figure it out, they'll tell us how to do it, and then we can help everybody else in the program try to get it. But it is a great program, and that's the way to do it. So once we get in there, then we can go from there. The other way is possibly to secure a list some other way. And we'd have to think through that. I wasn't really thinking all the way down the path on that tonight. But I will tell you this, I don't know if we've done any keyword research that is anyone searching in your market for 11-month warranty inspections. So if somebody was searching in your market for 11-month warranty inspections, we could see what search is at. So Beth, if you would just write that down and let's give that to the team and let them go to work on searching for 11-month warranty inspections and just use Brandon City or David's or, Charlotte or wherever. Some of the larger markets will give us some idea of search volume. And then also, I'd like for you to look for the trends. What are the trends? Is that search term up? Is that search term down or flat? And that way we can see that.
One of the other things, and David and I talked about this the other day, is if you know a couple of the development names, you could probably go up to the courthouse. Some of those will have addresses now. Some of the lots, like here in our development, some of the lots just have a lot number, but a lot of them will have addresses, and you could get a list of those addresses, but you may not know actually when they sold. But that's something to think about too.
So let's say this, because here's what happens is with your direct mail, what really happens too is you can say if your 11-month builder's warranty is already expired, please pass this card on to your neighbor. Okay, so we can go that direction with it.
Or they may want to have their home inspected. Maybe it's past the warranty, but they got a lot of stuff wrong with it, and they might want to have an inspection done.
But if you want to know the new home developments in your community, all you could do is go to Google and type in new home and your city, new home, new homes or buy new home and your city, and good Lord, everything in the world will come up. So there'd be no shortage of finding out what developments were available in there. And then you could learn all about them. So that's it. But I think we all agree once you get into the neighborhood, that's an easy part. So I think that getting that list, however we get that list, is going to be a perfect thing. So let's think about this, the internet. Okay, so how about, has anybody leveraged the internet to get leads for that product? Anybody even run any campaigns on it?
I do. I mean,
Okay, and David, do you get some from that?
we do. I mean,
Okay.
what I've noticed is that the longer my 1-year builder warranty page is up, because it's been going on, what, 5 years now?
I was going to say 4 or 5 years.
Right. So the longer it's up there, the more traction it gets. I think you can type in 11th month builder warranty, Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm on the first page. So, or at least I used to be. And I got a lot of calls from that. So it is valuable, just as well as, marketing to pre-drywall inspections. And you know, that is, I give you a case example. And I try to push this is when we're doing the sales call for the pre-drywall, we're not only doing the pre-drywall, we're doing the final inspection. And then when they do the final inspection, the inspector pushes a 1-year builder warranty. The importance of it, because things can change over the time of the house. So not only do we get that one inspection, but we got a total of 3 on the same house.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we discount them, but we don't discount them a lot. And the way it is easy money because you've already been there, you've already seen the property. You can literally take the same report, take the photos out of it, and all you're doing is taking new photos, and you're done.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, it's the easiest inspection you can do, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so in all fairness, Home Inspector Help, our sister company, has a builder's warranty program we help you set up your page and do all that stuff. You can talk to Beth outside this. We'll send you a link in an email after it's over if you're interested.
I have a quick question
Okay.
before you go on, real quick. So for those of you who do new construction inspections, do you market your new construction inspection client in 10 months?
So you're doing 11-month warranty for them?
Yes, we do.
Yay.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Good.
Okay,
That,
good,
I mean, believe me, I've talked to inspectors before that said they didn't. So just wonder.
I
Okay.
pull the data manually every month, and then figure out, hey, when am I going to send it to them again? And then I email them in my email. It's generally only, I would like for it to be 20 homes a month, but it's generally only 5 or 10, so it's not that much time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let's think about this. Let's say we're going to send a postcard, or we're going to add content to your webpage, this, that, and the other. And David, what are the most unique selling points that you find that attract customers? What are the things that you emphasize that really gets their attention? What are those things that you think get their attention about your program?
The fact that we offer, 100% satisfaction guarantee. We,
I think, I guess, let me
we,
ask you this. Do you sell confidence in the fact that they won't get stuck with somebody else's mistakes?
yes. I mean, basically what we're pushing is, hey, you know what? Don't be your neighbor and find out later that you got all these issues.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, be
Mm-hmm.
smart about it.
Yeah, we have a family member that I don't know how this happened, did not get a home inspection on a home, and there's been thousands and thousands of dollars worth of things, and it was a flip. It was, lipstick on a pig. We all know how that works, but that's it. But
Yeah.
I didn't know if any other Brandon message is really resonating with your customer besides that. Why should you pay for someone else's mistakes? Are there anything else there that's um, that you're really emphasizing, really unique selling points of your program?
Yeah, it's really about, why should you pay for your, builder's mistakes? And we give examples in our marketing about, what are some of the things we've seen recently? I mean, you go into the missing insulation, I'm sure you guys have seen it too. The builder completely forgot to insulate the attic, right? Like we see
Mhm.
that a couple times a year, I'm sure, right? Electrical issues, plumbing leaks, and issues like that, right? So,
Mhm.
you kind of play into the emotions of it a little bit, and that's what's worked for us. In fact, we've gone as far as bought a URL, especially on our direct mail stuff, the URL that goes to our builder warranty page. I think it's we find buildermistakes.com. So that's what it is.
Good,
And
good,
and
good.
we could even put it on a yard sign, leave it in the yard, or even at the entrance of the neighborhood, with the QR code, something like that.
Hmm. So,
I tried that,
in
Brandon. It didn't work very well. I think,
No, did you?
yeah, I ordered like 600 yard signs,
Oh
and
well.
it just didn't pan out. But we're still
Prob-
trying it. Hopefully,
Yeah.
only been like 2 or 3 months, but it was an expensive lesson, I suppose you could say.
So
Yeah.
the first thing is, David, always test small batch testing because I mean, is it the sign or what is it have what you're written on it? You know, it might, I mean, let's say if it says kick me, I didn't get a builder's warranty inspection, that might not be as effective.
Right. Well, I had y'all design it, so
Oh, then it must have been excellent. So I guess what happens is I don't know how to tell you that. I'd have to learn more about it. But the fact of the matter is we used a sign and I mean it was effective. We've had clients that use signs that effective. People would stop and say, oh,
No,
you know, I want your business card, you know, and go
now
from
hang on
there.
a minute, real quickly. So David, and now is it that sign that was at the front of the development or the sign in the yard of the client you did the inspection on?
they're front of the development.
Yeah, see, he
Okay,
was
no,
just
see, you haven't
putting a
done
sign
that.
out there.
Okay, I
So
haven't done that.
Ken thought you were putting a sign in the yard, like while you did the inspection, and then after the inspection, they let you leave the sign there for a little while. But he was putting it out in the front as kind of a, you know, when people drove by. And
Okay.
people would steal it, right, David?
No, they're still there. Some of them are still there.
Oh, okay.
It's just I've been trying to track it, and we're just not getting the calls that I expected.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, putting them in the yard. I mean, that's still, I think, a very effective way. And I, you know, because you shared it earlier, David, you know, people are talking to each other and, you know, they have the same problems that everybody else has. And when they see somebody there that's trying to solve their neighbor's problem, they do come over.
Right.
I mean, that's been my own experience and experience of a ton of our clients.
You
So
did it with a painter.
yeah. So let's think about this for a minute. In the day when everybody was able to get a list, and a lot of home inspectors, let me phrase this, compared to your entire market, a handful of home inspectors were smart enough to do this program. Okay. So the competition, I would hear inspectors say, well, the competition for these builders warranties are fierce. And I'd say, well, tell me about that. How many people do you have in your market that do home inspections? And they would say 2,000. And I'd say, well, how many cars on average does the client get? And they said 4. And I'm like, okay, you're competing with 2,000 people or 4 people. How fierce is the competition? Okay, so probably not that fierce. So with that said, for your personal company's USPs, what is it you promote that has them choose you over the other 3? So when you think about it, why would they choose you over the other people that they've received material from? Because I mean, once we get the list and once we get the leads, you know, we're going to have to then, if they got more than one person to choose from, say, I'm the obvious expert here. Anything you guys are putting in your business, your material or whatever that makes a difference in the business?
I'm curious to know what David's got on his flyers.
I mean, the flyer for the 1-year builder warranties.
Yeah. To get the client to choose you over all other people that are marketing that client.
So that was something I just used basically. I actually had Genie, I believe it was. They designed, this was when we were doing the 1-year builder warranty, the postcard, the big mailer. It was basically the size of a vanilla envelope or manila envelope. And that was all your information that was in there. The only thing that was in there that was ours was the code and the offer. So I mean, basically, we had a coupon code and an offer in there to try to get them to call us.
I guarantee that works because I'm one of the best copywriters in town.
If you
Still.
didn't change it.
Yeah, even I'm old and I'm still the best, one of the best. So
Right. Well, I mean, for me personally, what I've gotten most out of from the savvy is no offer, no sell.
yeah.
If you're not talking to them and you're not, and I've emphasized, when we're on an inspection and people show up, you give out at least 5 business cards. You don't just give them 1, you give them 5.
Right.
Everybody's there.
And could you have a specialized, not necessarily business card, but a flyer or whatever that emphasizes your referral program? I'd like to get 5 names from you. If you don't know it right now, that's fine. Just if you don't mind, just, here's a URL. You can just put the 5 names in there. So I'm going to contact them and say that you gave us their name. And if they decide to do it, here's the gift.
Right.
I mean, I just think to me, that's the way to make that happen. Brandon, you doing anything other than what we wrote for the program?
No, we did try to do a little bit of I mean, when we couldn't get names, and maybe that's not even the reason for it, but we kind of went with like a happy birthday theme,
Mhm.
trying to get the envelope to get opened, because or maybe it was a postcard, I don't remember, but something like that where we're trying to get the envelope open or get it read. And so happy birthday. Well, it's not my birthday, nobody's birthday here at the house. And so it's really, you open it up and it's happy birthday to your home, and then you kind of roll into the whole 1 year warranty thing, right?
Yeah, no, that's good.
Now,
I think it tests anything, everything.
now what John Hart does, he goes through, send out cards, and he does one of the great big, he does a trifold. So he gets a lot of information there, and that trifold is, it's kind of stuffed in there. I mean, it's got some bulk to it. So people do open that, and what we did with his is it's got a red front to it. It's got a big heart, and then it says, something like home sweet home is, I think, what we put on the front of that. And I mean,
Okay.
that's going to get opened. And I was telling David, we were just talking about this the other day, and I told David that John does a subscription with send out cards. So he pays X a month. But as part of that X a month that he pays, he gets like 250 cards for free. So this trifold, he actually gets his first 250 cards a month for free. He pays
Well,
for
they're
the
actually
postage
included in the monthly fee that he
included.
pays, so
Yeah.
not free.
Well,
Okay. So they're included. So I get it, but I guess when you're looking at direct mail, there's really two things: getting the envelope open, that's one, certainly, and then the second thing is having a compelling message. So I'm always concerned about getting that envelope open. I love that he uses the trifold, and with the trifold, you can actually tell your story. So it's really selling for you. And in some ways, I like that really well, because what happens is in the past, I've done it 2 ways, tried to sell my whole story just like that. And in the past, I've also done offline marketing to online marketing. So I would give you some teaser copy and then ask you to come to a website to learn more. But the problem with that is now you're asking a consumer to take 2 steps. You've asked them to open the envelope and read that. And then if you want more details about making the decision, you had to go to a web page. And I'm still in favor of doing both, but the John Hart method in some ways appeals to me more, because if they don't go there, then you've still told your whole story and you can get the business. So I think that testing is the most important thing, because you can do a giant postcard. I mean, you can, they have oversized postcards. But the send out cards is a classy way to do it. And I'm sure he's using the handwritten font on the front, which doesn't fool anyone, but it still gets people's intrigue to open it. Beth, on the envelope on the outside on the send out cards now, can you do any kind of time dated material, write anything on the envelope, or no?
I would have to see, because
Okay, because I haven't fooled with it in a
I
while.
took this over from Jeannie.
Yeah, yeah. And so, software changes. So David, have you been sending them a postcard or something and then driving them to your website?
No, we haven't done that program since 2019.
Okay. Okay.
We're really not, because we lost access to the list. We haven't really been doing it. But the reason why I'm on this right now is on the open mic night is I I it's anything we can do right now to drive business. I'm interested in, because
Yeah.
it's a revenue source that you just can't ignore.
Yeah. And these are just small impediments not getting a list. We can figure this out. But then once we get that figured out, then we got to get back to the program, whether it's
Right.
an envelope, whether it's a web page, or what happens. I want to get in here
Can
and talk about
can
a
I
couple
share
of things. Sure.
an idea that I'd heard. So then, interestingly, uh, a a client that responded to a letter that I sent. So back when we had access, so I would hand address the envelope. It was labor intensive.
Mhm.
My wife actually would hand address. I would do the list, and she'd hand address envelope. They got opened. One of my clients was the manager, general manager of a car sales dealership, and he said that in their program and trying to reach out to car owners where they were trying to buy cars back for the used car program and sell them a new car, that he would more than double his penetration rate when he would send a second piece of mail. And so then what I was trying to do was I was trying to add a postcard 4 weeks ahead of a letter. So the postcard would go out instead of 6 weeks before the anniversary date, then a postcard at 10 weeks ahead of time, and then a letter at 6 weeks before that anniversary. And he said that he would get some response from that first batch, but then his response to the second letter would be more than what the penetration rate was on the first one. And so then uh, since you know their anniversary date, when their warranty expired, and you could back up and send them a letter 6 weeks before, then sending them a second one 4 weeks before that, more than doubled his business.
Mhm.
Mhm.
We always sent
I
three
haven't.
pieces. we just start sending 60 days in advance. And Dan Kennedy, where I learned direct mail from, one of the greatest direct mailers in the world, one of the things he said, I learned that it takes three pieces, Michael. And I said, well, Dan, how did you learn that? And he said, think about a bill collector. How many pieces of mail do they send you before they take action on you? Three. And he said they collect the majority of their money from three letters. He said if it works for them, it works for us in direct mail. And he taught that strategy and we used it forever. But the car dealer is exactly correct. You'll find on the third go around, you'll get more penetration on the third than you did the second. Because when somebody sees something once, think about your own mail. You see something like, I said to Beth, this is a pretty cool, we're going to need this before long. You know what I do? Then I throw it away and I never look at it again. But if they don't send it to me again, I never take action. So you're exactly right. Now, I also say you should give your wife an award for
Absolutely.
hand addressing all those freaking envelopes. My gosh.
Right.
We
So
used to, we used
we
to do
would send
that too.
out 100, it would be 100 a week. We'd send, 350, 400 letters a month,
Uh-huh.
100 a week. And I would get um, 3 or 4 inspections per 100 letters.
Okay.
And it was always fun because I would show up to the house and the homeowner would have the other, 3 letters that were there, right? There was
Yeah.
a piece of crap pink postcard that some inspector was trying to use with with just a label on it, and the ink was blurred and it just looked like a piece of crap. And then national NPI, national property
Uh-huh.
inspectors, franchise, right? That he would send a letter and it would be, 90% of the page would be full of text, and it would be front and back and it was all text. And it was like, not going to read that. And there was one other letter that looked decent. And of course, I thought mine looked the best. And apparently the client did too, because they would have, 3 or 4 of them laid out there. How did you get my name and number? And it was like, well, I got a couple of pieces of mail all at the same week and, all at the same time. And I'm calling all of you, and I would answer the phone and I would close the deal and I would get there and I was like, hey, can I have these other letters? And I would, compare, what they had to what mine was. And I tweaked mine a little bit, but my letter ended up, I thought, being good. It was still a letter that had to be opened. And so then I hadn't gotten to the postcard design yet. I was headed that way, but the postcard design was the next step I was looking for, and then I lost the list.
I think the letter that your wife hand addressed is the best. If you can have that service, we paid high school students to do it, that kind of thing to do it. We had a machine going. We had 13 guys going full time and 5 full-time schedulers, and so it was a machine. So we did have high school kids do the envelopes. That was the best for direct mail, handwritten. Then we moved to send out cards, and you fooled people for a while with a font, handwriting font, but it never got as good. But I like what you're doing. So, the thing about it is we got to get back to the list so you can start making some more money from it. So we're gonna solve that and share that with everybody as soon as we can solve it. I want to share with you, and Michael brought up a really good point about this. So I'm going to skip some of this other. I just had 6 or 8 questions I wanted to ask you about what you were doing. Let me just hit on this. But this is the one in red down here on the bottom. I really want to talk about for your USPs. How can you bundle this service with other inspection offerings? Has anybody thought about that? David or Brandon, have you guys thought about that? What other services could you bundle with your builder's warranty inspection to try to increase the value of what you're offering over your competitors?
Yes,
Uh,
we do a free thermal scan with every
there
building
you
warranty
go.
inspection.
Yeah.
And, we also tout the drone inspection. So,
Okay. And now, David, would you do the drone inspection for free, or would there be a reduced price?
the drone is free with the builder warranty and thermal's free with the builder warranty. So we're offering two things. And if they don't, I've had people say, well, um, you're higher than the competition. And I'm like, well, we can take off one of these services. We can take the drone off if you like, and we'll match the rate, or we'll take the thermal off, whichever one you don't want. So I use it as a negotiation tool as well.
Great strategy. Now, I know that everybody, we could always tell from every development radon levels. Where we were, there was elevated levels of radon, but some neighborhoods really had it back. Hamilton Mills, some of the other ones had, 50% of the clients had elevated radon level. What about offering a discounted service? And then if they give you the names of the individuals that you can work for again, you could take you could rebate them on the price. And rebate is an ugly word sometimes, but you could gift them back the fee from the radon test. So it never really got your builder's warranty fee. They get the radon test for a reduced price, let's say a third less. So let's say it's $150 just for easy math. You give them $25 for everybody they got. So if they referred you 3 people, you would gift them back $75 off the radon test. You still take the full fee for the builder's warranty.
Uh-huh.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because I'm opposed to reducing your fees. You know what I'm saying?
right.
I mean, everybody has to eat, and we don't have these things priced down to where it's just too little. I mean, you're pricing the way you need to do to make a profit, and I want that. But I just hate these discounts and all. So if we were to do something like that, they get a big bonus. They didn't get a radon test in the beginning. You already offering extra value in the drone and the infrared. So
Right.
now you're bundling again. And if they had a pool and spa, maybe they didn't get that inspected, and maybe you could offer that. So what other services could you offer and bundle? I think that makes your value, proposition way better than your competitors, because they're certainly not thinking about this.
Does anybody offer to flush the water heater? Do you know at that 1 year mark,
Mhm.
flushing a water heater tank to get the sediment out of it as a service? Does anybody do that?
Interesting that you asked that. We got a client that's starting a business to do those things. He's really focused on tankless water heaters, but full-fledged water. Anybody else doing it? David, Brandon, you guys doing it? Anybody?
No, I would be worried about doing something like that, especially with my inspectors, just because if you don't do it right, if there's debris in the water heater, you could ruin a faucet that way.
Yeah, I mean, there's technical things. You got those worked out, but
Right.
I think the thing about it is that homeowners do it and all this, that, and the other. So if you could find a way to safely do it, I think it's another service that you can offer. I mean, to Keith, we said tankless water heaters. I said to him, why aren't we doing, water heaters that are standard water heaters, not just tankless, because those need it as well. And so few consumers ever do it. I mean, most consumers don't even know they need to do
Hell, I'm a home inspector and I don't do it.
Yeah.
it. So, Michael, I think that if you
I
can
wasn't gonna
find a
admit
way
it.
to do it, I think the fact of the matter is that it's a value-added service and nobody else is doing it clearly. So I think you should explore it.
Right. I was doing it for a little
Yeah.
bit, and I was doing it like you were talking. Well, I wasn't doing it like you were talking about, but I would the idea of connecting the flush in the water heater with a referral sounds like a good tool. So then um, I offered it as I'm going to call it a loss leader. It was, if you scheduled online, then you would get a free water. The water heater flush as a service at the time of your warranty inspection. That way. But the idea of, using it at the homeowners to be able to get referrals from neighbors. Hey, get referrals from neighbors using that. I was comfortable doing it. I was more comfortable doing the tanks than I was the tankless. So the tankless in, sort of carrying the equipment and getting them connected. In this part of the country, the way that they install the tankless sometimes is impossible to get to the connectors. It ends up being one of the things that I write up as a deficient condition is the way that they install them in the box. The service ports are not accessible.
Yeah, because that needs to be done too. The first tankless water heater we had was our home in Venice. And I was reading an article by a home inspector that talked about the need to have that tankless water heater flushed. And I started researching it a bit, and he was exactly correct. And then trying to find a plumber in the community that would do it was really difficult. Nobody really wanted to do it. And the guy that we used and had a contract with didn't do it. And we switched to Veteran Heating and Air that did plumbing, and we switched our whole account to them. I want somebody who can do everything. I don't want to deal with a bunch of extra people.
So I have a question, and it just popped in my head because it's sounds like an annual maintenance inspection. So basically, that would be a recurring business that you could do for every home, and you could include that into that. But while you're mailing out your 1 year builder warranty inspection, maybe include, hey, have you considered an annual maintenance inspection? I don't know. I'm just trying to, and this way, if it hits somebody that wasn't a 1 year builder warranty, then you weren't wasting your money. Does that make any sense?
Sure. And I want to go back to what Michael was saying a minute ago on a loss leader, because what he's really talking about is a retail term that we hear quite frequently. But one of the things that Dan Kennedy asked me years ago, and he said, Ken, would you sell a service at a loss? And I said, well, Dan, I'm gonna have to think about that for a minute because normally I would not. But I'm not saying no. I'm interested in hearing what you have to say. And he said, well, I wouldn't sell a service as a loss normally, but when I have a back end, I'm willing to sell a service at a loss. And what Michael just told you was a very valuable story. Okay, he's willing to take a loss on a service because his back end is other services, whether it's a builder's warranty inspection or whatever he has to offer. Okay, so he got his foot in the door. It's called a foot in the door strategy. He got his foot in the door with that loss leader, knowing that his back end was strong enough to recoup that loss with other services. And I think when you start thinking this way, you've really turned into a serious marketer. Okay, because everything is not front end. All right. So you have to start thinking about this or this or this. For instance, and this really drives me to what we've been talking about earlier, and that's our sphere of influences. Okay. And particularly our contractors.
Mhm.
Okay. So the fact of the matter is, when you get a client, whether it's a loss leader or a full service or full price service, then what happens? They become your client. And then what happens is you can get them on your newsletter list and you can start continuing to market them and their families and their friends and their acquaintances. But you also have other things to offer that client besides home inspection services. One of the things that Michael might want to offer to his clients that are on his newsletter list, a special offer from his plumber, his preferred vendor, for a tankless water heater flush if you don't do that, or flushing the water heater, or like Gary Sloan, our client forever and good friend in Peachtree City, he offered their lawn service, and their lawn service did one free mowing. Okay, these are offers and goodwill that you can build up with your clients for additional referrals. See what I'm saying? So even if Michael went in and did something for a lost leader, he didn't get closed anything on the back end, he still got a new client. Okay, and they were so thrilled with what he did, and now he got him in the list. I mean, why should they go to Angie's list when they can go to Michael's list for preferred vendors? Okay, so you really start that whole process. You're looking at the home inspector ecosystem now, not just the home inspector. Okay, so I really like that. And that was a very valuable point I want you guys to understand. So what other services could you offer that might be at a loss leader or break even that you could start that process with? So, because right now, I mean, revenue squeezed for everybody. I mean, I don't know about you, but gas prices aren't going down. You know, nothing's going down here in Lady Lake, Florida. So we're continuing to have to think through this. Okay, Michael, thanks for sharing that, because that was a great
Yeah,
point.
that's one thing that I think we could probably do better. Yeah, we could do that better too, is incorporating kind of our trusted vendors into that as well, and you know, talk to them about what kind of promos they want us to offer to those 1 year warranty clients as well, and additional value too.
So let's think about this. Hang on, Beth, for a second. Let's think about this on your bundle. Okay, so here's what happens is you have a franchise or a housekeeping company that's really good that you like and is on your preferred vendor list. How about, oh, by the way, as part of our bundle, we have one of our preferred vendors that offers a free cleaning service. Okay, you might think, well, that's out of the blue, but guess what happens? Who's not gonna take a free cleaning service? Or how about mowing your lawn for free once? Or shrub trimming, or power washing, or whatever it happens to be. Because you know what happens is when your preferred
Pest
vendor
control.
goes out there, then what happens is you have helped them, they in turn help you. Okay, they continue to make offers, they build a client list, they market, they do the same thing if they're smart like you do. Okay, but now you've controlled the whole thing, and they're getting extra value even though you didn't have to provide it. Okay, which means you're the primary person. I mean, I always go back to this. If you have, let's just say, eczema, okay, and you live in California, okay, and I see here in Lady Lake an article about eczema, a homeopathic treatment for eczema that works. So I send my friend that article. I cut it out of the newspaper. Let's say I'm old school. I cut it out of the newspaper and send it to him with a letter and say, listen, I know you've suffered with eczema, old buddy, and here's what happened. I saw this homeopathic remedy, and boom, I thought you might be able to get some benefit from it. Hope everything's going well. Okay, who gets credit for that? The author of the article or me for sending it to my buddy? Okay, of course it's me. All right, so this is the position I want you to put yourself in. The fact of the matter is, you've recommended somebody else's service and they do a good job. You get the halo effect from it. Okay, they think of you. Wow, man, Ken gave me that landscaper for a free trial, and he did such a good job. I'm gonna hire that guy. I'm sick of mowing that lawn. Or wow, my house has never looked more sparkling clean. I'm gonna get that lady at least once a month, or that company at least once a month. See what I'm saying? So even if
Yeah.
Michael took on a client at a loss for a loss leader or break even, now you've got a client that you're marketing for other products and services, but not just them, their spheres of influence.
Yeah.
Then we have to start thinking way bigger, but we just always were lazy and depended on real estate agent referrals. With Sitzer Burnett, that is not going to be our option. That path is going away. Whether it's going away in your neighborhood today or not, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is it's going away. Okay, it only came in August 17th, the federal rules. Okay, so we have to replace those leads that we would get from buyer's agents that are no longer going to be there with strategies. And this is why we need to have these bigger discussions.
Yeah.
Okay. Just my thoughts on a guy might be totally wrong, but I'm telling you, it worked for me like a champion. And, we'd be doing 1.75 million a year in home inspections. So it worked for us. I promise you it worked for you too. So,
Hey, Ken, I've got to dip out. And so then
okay.
I appreciate the email for the open mic night and the invite to that. And it was good to be on here, and look forward to seeing the progress on trying to get hold of the list again.
Sure. Michael, come on back anytime because it's open. This is a platform for you guys.
Sounds great. I appreciate it. It was
Thank
good
you.
talking.
Michael.
Good
See you,
seeing you
sir.
again.
Good
Goodbye.
seeing
All right.
you.
Good seeing
Real
you, Beth.
quickly before we move on, um, uh, like with our newsletter program where we send to the client, our biggest thing we've been focusing on, and this tonight's what has made me think of this, has mainly been stay in touch with them so that when they need a home inspection or know of someone who does, they're going to recommend the client. But look at that audience you have that you can offer these additional services to. And then if they don't need it, then they know somebody who does. So now we've moved beyond just, the referral to being able to actually get them to do services with us again, or with you,
Mhm.
with the client.
Yeah, there's no question that list is powerful, but without a preferred vendors list and without that program going, it's difficult to make that happen. And that's why when we started this conversation with Open Mic weeks and weeks ago, we started off with Sitzer Burnett judgment as taking away buyers agents. And so let's say whether 40% of them go away in your neighborhood or 60 or 100%, those leads that they gave us in the past, that was easy money. Okay, and now
Yeah.
we're going to have to work harder for our money. And we're up as home inspectors, we're up against a lot of obstacles, higher interest rates, inventory shortages, uncertain political future. I mean, there's a lot of things facing you guys that are extremely difficult.
Yeah.
And so our goal is to try to give you new ideas and spark some ideas of your own that you think maybe I can do it, and then share with everyone else on the call.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, we were chatting with a broker today, and he's on board with the changes. He thinks the changes are good for once, actually. I've had a bunch of conversations, and most agents are like, "Oh, this is terrible. I hate this." And he's actually, supportive of the settlement, but he's on board with, a lot of these agents are just not professional. They don't even want to have the conversation about, here's a contract with my buyer. They're leaving the industry before they even have to do the rule, comply with the rules because of it. And so I'm so excited.
mhm,
I'm going to be
mhm.
honest, very excited.
Yeah, I'm excited about it because, like I said in the very beginning, the influence that they had over the client can be replaced by us and the client. And I said in the very beginning, I want you to move from home inspector to property consultant, and I'm going to continue to work with you to move in that direction to be a property
Yeah.
consultant, not a home inspector. Home inspector will always be your primary service.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
there's lots of other services that you can offer that we'll be talking about.
Well,
Okay.
and another sorry if you're trying to move on here, but
No,
another
no.
conversation we had this week, it was actually with the transaction coordinator. We were chatting with her, and I was just asking for some feedback, and she was saying, yeah, some of our agents, prefer different companies or whatever because they feel like we upsell too much. And again, falling back on that whole conversation about, if we're consulting, we're not upselling, but we are educating them. And so just having those non-professional agents out of the way so we can actually have a conversation without having to tiptoe around the agents
is going to be so much beneficial for our industry in general.
I always, Brandon, you've heard me say this a million times. Why do they care what it costs or what the client buys? They're not paying for it. The agent isn't paying for it. Get out of the way and let us tell our own story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I
let's
hate it when
run our
agents
own
call
business.
and they try to negotiate price.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you should, the first, David, if you can afford to get rid of them, say, well, let me ask you this. Did you negotiate your commission?
Right.
And, you know, of course, then you get hung up on, and then they tell everybody in the office that you're a jerk. But the fact of the matter is that won't be a problem anymore because there's going to be nobody in the office so to tell. So that'll be that. But they are leaving the industry for a variety of reasons. But Setzer Burnett, after the first year, you'll see it just wholesale wax. So
Good. Here we go. Ready for it.
it'll be interesting. Okay. Anybody got anything else? I don't want to cut anybody short. Again, I have another meeting to get to, but not for a few minutes.
I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
I'm
I'm
excited
excited
on the
to
list.
look into this too.
Yeah. And if you
of course.
guys can all help Beth look into that list, let's get this thing going. Let's just solve this problem for everybody. And then once we get it solved, then we can start generating that stream of revenue again.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yes.
Okay.
I agree.
And Mark, thank you for coming on the call. I saw you. I didn't know if you were booting a couple little goats out of your door. Looked like they were trying to take you over or something. I said,
His little dogs.
he's whooping somebody.
You're on mute.
Hey, good to see you too, David.
Yeah. So we're glad to have you on the call. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Thank you very much. Beth, thanks for being on, giving us your insights.
everyone.
We'll see you. Dill,
Okay,
see you,
thank you
buddy.
everyone for
Bye-bye.
being here.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you soon.